Greetings. The purpose of this presentation is to provide an overview of how to navigate and use a Blackboard classroom. It will not go into great detail. Instead, it will give you a quick view of how to perform several tasks in all the different areas of a typical Blackboard classroom. So let's get right to it. Up here you have what is called the tabs area, and it will bring you to other places within your learning management system, somewhere else in your school typically. This is called the course menu and is very important. It's where you will access many of the features necessary to be successful in the classroom. This is the content area, and here it can be set up a little bit differently. You might see course announcements here. You might see various tools or videos here. It's up to the instructor to set it up. In this case, what we're seeing is really the outline of the course. Now, something always to remember if you want to make sure you can get to everywhere you need to in the course is you need to scroll up and down because there's usually more on the page. And don't forget to click, because although that looks just like a highlighted area, it really is someplace you want to click to get into more content of the course. Now, quite often you will find something like this over here in the course menu area, and it might be called course materials, it might be called modules, it might be called lessons, and you could find other things in this course content area, so just be aware of that. So let's get right into where you will find various items. Important are the announcements, so you click on that and you would see any weekly announcement that the instructor might have for you. Assessments you would click on to get tests. Assignments, you could either find out what the assignment is all about or turn it in. Discussion boards are quite important, and this is where you would access them. To communicate with your instructor or other students, you would go to the messages area, find out what your grades are, you go to my grades area, and then you might have some group projects, and you would find that under the groups area. One of the most important things you'll do in a Blackboard classroom are discussions. So let's look into quickly how to post some discussions. In this area, like I said, you might scroll down and you could see several discussions. You might have all the discussions available for the entire course, which could be one every week or two every week. Over here, you'll notice that I haven't read 2,843 posts. That's okay. But let's look at posts into a discussion board. You click on the discussion board. Move a little slow. That's okay. So in this case, if we wanted to post a discussion thread, we just come up here and hit Create Thread. Scroll down. Give it a title, something that explains what you're talking about. In this case, I'm just going to say test. And how about trying this out? And then I'm going to scroll down, and here is the submit button. So I'll submit it. And then you notice that I posted the test. Now, what we can also do is interact with our fellow students. Click on that. Read what the student wrote. And if we wanted to reply, hit reply. Again, you could, at this point, it's probably best to change the title and say Carl replying to this student. Click on here and type in reply or further. Now, the best way to give you a post is always to produce it in Word and then copy and then paste it into this discussion board. You might find the formatting changes a little, but that's usually okay. But if you just start typing and don't save it or submit it in time or go off and do something else, you could end up losing the entire post, and I believe you will find that to be most frustrating. So you're best to compose it in Word and then paste it. Paste it, and you just right click and hit paste. And then I would submit this if I wanted to, but I want to cloud up this discussion board. And that would be a reply to one of the students. And you can again read what he put right here. replied to them, and then you've participated in a discussion board. Not too bad. So let's look at assignments. That page. We go to assignments, and you'll either get in the course content area, like I said, over in this area you might see course materials or modules or lessons, and it will explain the assignment to you. Sometimes the assignment is explained to you in the assignment turn-in area. Here it tells you a few things to do and just kind of submit an assignment. So as we go through here, you could say anything to the professor you want to. This is my best effort. And then you could browse your computer. Go to any area you want, and then pick up a file you're looking for. All right, and double click that. And you'll see that it's here. And just go down, scroll down and hit submit. And that will get submitted to your professor. You'll see in the grading area that there's a little green thing that you'll know that it's been submitted properly, and your professor will be able to grade that assignment for you. Let's look at taking tests. In this case it says assessments, it could say exams, it could say tests. You could be pointed to it from the course content area, but let's look into that. So here it gives you instructions, it tells you it's timed, it tells you you can have multiple attempts, which is nice to know. So we'll hit begin. Quite often if you're looking for the test at the beginning, it might not be there. Sometimes they're not available until the final week if it's a final exam, or until the certain time frame or week that it's supposed to be available. So you might not see it until the professor wants you to see it. So here we had a question, and we could put in an answer. Let's say C, and then we just hit this arrow, and we have the next question, and we'll hit the arrow and go to the next one. We have question 3. You hit true or false, and we go to 4, and you would hit the drop down menus, and then go to 5, save answer, and then you could save and submit the whole thing. And then you would notice in your My Grades area that it has been submitted, and you wait for, sometimes you get immediate feedback. In a multiple choice situation like this, you probably would. Save and submit. That's saved. Go back to the course area, and that's how you would take an exam. Not too bad. Just scroll and click and take the test. Okay, so for My Grades, go into My Grades, and it'll give you what you've done so far and has been graded by the professor, sometimes what's coming up, and your total grade for the period. In this area, it needs to be set up and monitored and maintained by your professor, and if it doesn't look right, then don't be surprised and try not to get discouraged. At some point it should look right, but it kind of depends how it's maintained by your professor. In this case, I guess I got a 16.5. I answered one question right out of that last test we just took, and I had taken a knowledge check and got 8 out of 10 questions right, so I have an 80. This is where you check on your grades, and hopefully it's maintained properly by your professor. You could also see if something else was turned in and was waiting grading. So let's talk about communicating in the classroom. Use My Messages. Now, if you don't see My Messages in the course menu area, if there's anything you don't see in the course menu area, you should look to the tools. You'll see something that says tools, and then inside tools, you would find the rest of the things you can do. So here we're going to create a message. We want to send a message to the professor telling him we don't like the way gradebook is set up. Sometimes you have to be patient. Click it all at once. Okay, so we clicked create message. Then I'm going to decide who to send it to. In this case, I'll send it to myself. I hit that right arrow, send it to me. I'm going to put the subject, let's just say test. I'm not going to send this one, but then you click in here and you send your message. I wish worked, something like that. Put your name. Scroll down here and hit submit. And you can also reply to messages. If you have an inbox here, you could hit that and then hit the reply button, and it will go right to the person who sent you the message. Now, another way you might communicate inside the classroom is within groups. You could have wikis, you could have blogs, you may collaborate within a group, and your professor would set up a group for you. There would be some instructions in the content area to do that. But here it looks like we've got a few groups. You could create a group. Well, let's go into the one-day group. So the one-day group, you can see there's a lot of students that have been added to it, which is fine. And then at the bottom, the various tools that your professor wants you to use for that group assignment is listed here. Also, the instructions for the group assignment might be there. Let's go into a group blog, because now we see how to get into groups, and we can also go into how to do a blog. So in this, you see that somebody did a test. You could comment, just hit the comment button, write your comments, and hit add, and then that person would have that. Back into it, blog, or you could create a blog entry. Just give it a title, my entry, let's say, and type what you want. Here's my brilliant contribution, and then just go down here and hit post. And once you do that, it'll be posted to the blog. So blogs are very similar to discussion boards. Sometimes they're a little more personal. It kind of depends on the purpose of the assignment. And one other way to communicate is through a wiki. And we're going to end it with that. And we're going to go to the Blackboard.com tutorials, which is another good place to get information. Okay, a good place to get short tutorials on all of the aspects I just discussed in perhaps a little more detail is ondemand.blackboard.com/students. So you could write that down. And this next video will be an example of that, at the same time showing you how to use wikis.
Enter a brief name for the new wiki page. Enter your content in the text editor. Now, submit. Your new wiki page is now posted. You can edit the wiki page to add more content by clicking Edit Wiki Content. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using the text editor. Add additional content to the existing page using and submit. The edited wiki page is now posted. You can see what your contributions to the wiki look like by clicking My Contribution. All versions of the wiki page will appear in the My Contributions page, with the most recent version appearing first. Each time a page is saved, a new version of that page is created. Let's review.
Okay, that concludes this presentation. Hopefully this orientation to the Blackboard Learner Management System classroom will help you enjoy your learning experience. If you want to see more short videos on how to navigate in the system, here is the address. I wish you the best in all your academic endeavors. Enjoy.